Hello, everybody, and welcome back to day 2. If you want to grab your seats, we're going to get started on the second day of the symposium. Come on down.
When it comes up, because it should be full screen eventually. I couldn't see him in the room, Mark, yesterday, but we had a gallery. This is where if you could speak on you speak, your camera activates, isn't it? Yeah,
Great. Welcome, friends, to day 2 of the Local Government Waste Management Symposium. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Larrakia land. Pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name's Amy Hetherington again. Hello. I hope you had fun last night at the Crocosaurus dinner. Show of hands who got to feed a crocodile. Anyone? Yeah, cool. All of the, yep. 2 people were brave enough. The rest of you just sat back and watched with a beer. Is that was the energy that was going on there? Very good. Recently or? This is true. This is very true. There is nothing like sitting next to a crocodile while you have your dinner, I reckon. I think it's just... Awesome. Well, glad you had a good time. Hope people aren't feeling too dusty today for day 2. We've got lots of things to get through, lots of wonderful presentations, and today's focus is a little bit more on some of the activities happening in our remote communities in the Northern Territory. So looking forward to hearing some of those presentations and learning a bit more about what's going on across the Territory. Couple of bits of housekeeping for you, mates. If anyone has a presentation that they need loaded, today's AV worker is Alice. So we've got Alice with us today, which is awesome. If you need the Wi-Fi, that password is feel welcome. Again, I think all the bags got collected yesterday, which is great. In your bags, there were little hand sanitizers for keeping nice and clean. So if you need to use your hand sanitizer, go for it. Toilets are still out there in the corridor. And we'll have lots of time for you to network and share some of the information that's happening in your communities, in your work that's going to help each other out. But let's crack into our first presentation, our Minister's address. If you wouldn't mind, you know, we set a good standard yesterday with those round of applause. If you wouldn't mind putting your hands together and welcoming up to the podium the Minister for Local Government, the Hon Chansey Paech, MLA.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to take the opportunity, firstly, to acknowledge the Larrakia Nation, their strong advocacy, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners and native title holders from those communities in which your local councils represent, and acknowledge the outstanding work that our local government sector continue to do with our First Nations people right across the Northern Territory. It's great to be here today with you all to talk about waste management. The contemporary theme of this year's Waste Management Symposium is remote possibilities, going the distance for country. And as the 4th annual Local Government Waste Management Symposium, the potential associated with this opportunity for local and territory governments, non-for-profits and industry groups to discuss key waste management issues and solutions cannot be overestimated. Since taking on the portfolio of local government last year, it has been a priority of mine to resource and support our regional councils in particular to walk towards new ways of sustainable waste management. From many discussions I've had with you all about this topic, I know that it is a critical issue across the Northern Territory. The Northern Territory government remains proactive in its response to waste management issues, and I am aware that discussions regarding the development of the Northern Territory's waste reduction and management strategy have and will continue to be had with a variety of stakeholders across the Territory. We all have a part to play in reducing the amount of waste we generate and increasing the amount of resources that we recover, reuse and recycle. The collaboration required to develop solutions to tackle the challenges we face and to work with industries, governments and communities has no doubt been reflected in a number of presentations already being delivered here in the past and certainly going on today. This is why, in addition to the work being progressed by the Department of Environment, Parks and Water Security, as a result of the National Waste Policy, less waste, more resources, and the action plan provides various funding programs that have been rolled out under my portfolio in 2019 and 2021 to assist councils to address waste management issues across all regions of the Northern Territory. Part of this, we've seen the creation of a $4 million local government priority infrastructure fund, and I'm very pleased to continue to work on a fund I have created, $1.8 million, the Waste Management Fund, which is also referred to as WARM. These grant programs are new and have been rolled out in the 2021 budget to assist councils to undertake a range of waste management projects and to address waste management and resource issues in their local council areas. The Waste Management and Resource Grant in particular was fully dedicated to the initiatives that will go some way to addressing issues regarding the safe disposal of waste being generated on a daily basis, as well as walking towards the sustainabilisation of legacy and, in many cases, unauthorised waste dumps in the regions. I know that each local government area has unique concerns and needs when it comes to the topic of waste management. Whether it is the need to remove car bodies from remote locations, and I know that there are a number of communities that we are working on at the moment to remove a number of those car bodies, to expand current waste management facilities, and to protect current waste facilities from hazards such as flooding. It is my hope that programs such as the Waste Management Resource Program can assist in working towards these goals. Councils have a recognised history of working on shared initiatives in the waste management areas, and it is these partnerships that will provide a foundation for the continued innovation, implementation, and improved application of best practice in waste management across urban, regional, and remote areas of the Northern Territory. Thank you all for your sustained efforts and commitment to the health and well-being of both Territorians and the environment we share. Thank you. Are there any questions? This is probably the first room where there's no questions. I've one up the back. Certainly. Thank you for the question, and it's certainly an important question. I've just returned from Canberra yesterday, undergoing a number of conversations around local government and the future of that industry, working closely with the Deputy Prime Minister as well, the Honourable Minister McCormack, around what we need to do to resource the local government sector in terms of waste management and moving forward. So while we haven't formally come to a conclusion yet, they are very positive conversations around taking into account that manufacturing component and the need to have those resources and that infrastructure in place. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get to a position soon to make an announcement.
Chris Smith from Tiwi Islands Region Council. Thank you, Minister. It strikes me that local government is the provider of last resort. We're that group that gets dumped with everything that nobody else wants to do and that nobody can make any money out of. That's why we've managed tips, because it's sort of a lost cause in the Northern Territory. Our council, I know, has applied a number of times for funding for planning, things like cactus. Every time we fail, get that money through. only way we can do
Thank you. Like every council in this room, I too love money and love to spend money, and it needs to be in the right area. And certainly taking on that portfolio, I did take the opportunity to lobby hard with my cabinet colleagues and create that $1.8 million initial fund around the waste management and resource management. This fund will allow predominantly regional councils and shire councils to undergo that, to do those plans, to highlight where that critical infrastructure is needed, and where we also need to bear in mind that there are components that compliance issues need to be addressed and funded. That's been highlighted by EPA. So yeah, certainly I absolutely acknowledge that local government does do a tremendous job in this space. I absolutely know and am working on additional revenue streams for the local government sector on how they can bring forward additional revenue to do those projects. But absolutely, my department will continue to work with the local government sector and the peak body at looking at ways in which we can increase that, particularly in that waste management area. Yes, this fund is available, and we will need to work further from that into the future around how we fund those critical pieces of infrastructure in those regional councils and shire councils to make sure that those waste management facilities are in a compliance with the legislation and the community safety's expectations.
Providing services to the community as well, but with no funds coming down, there's no confidence there for the private sectors to invest in anything, whether it be infrastructure, training, any of those sort of areas. And I know I touched on it again yesterday or previously yesterday, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at too.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Certainly, again, I have heard loud and clear, predominantly from the regional and shire councils, there is an issue around resourcing, there is an issue around infrastructure and being able to keep the assets maintained and to make sure that they are not going beyond their life. That is an issue that we have to work with. We are working with and having conversations with the Commonwealth as well around currently the financial assistance grants have been frozen, and we know that that is having an impact on our councils as well to be able to apply for funding. But as well, we have the Strategic Infrastructure Fund as well, where we can, or the Priority Infrastructure Fund, where we can look at addressing some of those critical infrastructure needs.
One of the issues that I see is you look at what's happening in the eastern or southern coast of Australia, and they're now trying to deal with legacy issues. And up here, we potentially don't have as big a legacy issues, but if we let it go any further, it's going to become one of those, and we need to nip it in the bud now and try and prevent that from happening, which will ultimately save the government and the territory money long term. If it keeps going, and we're going to end up like they are down south, trying to play catch up on everything.
That's it. Just thank you again for the opportunity. If there are additional questions that do flow out from the symposium, we do have representatives from the Department of Local Government here with you today. And we will endeavour to get those plans out to you all around that communique of what the waste management and resource management grant program will look at. And certainly from that, we'll be able to make a determination around the ongoing sustainability and funding programs that need to be in place to support your sector to do that job and to continue to do it well.
Thanks very much, Minister.